Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of The Green Factor, a show where we talk about green design and the business of sustainability. I'm your host, Haris the Green Carpenter, and today we're going to be talking about meat substitute. With me today, we have our guest, Mr. Syafik Jaafar, the
Hello,
founder
everyone.
of Nanka. Hi, Syafik.
Hi. Hello, Assalamualaikum, Haris. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. So I'm glad you decided to come to the show, even though it's a short notice.
No problem.
but
It'll be my
but
pleasure.
yeah, but welcome lah. And just to share with the audience, what you do and all that. Later I will tell them. But I've been
Mhm.
following Nanka for quite some time, and it's been
Okay.
like I really love what you guys are doing in this space, and so that's why like recently we have the opportunity to meet. So that's why like I feel like I'm gonna ask you to come in, and luckily you decided to come. So welcome and thank you again for spending your time. So
Sure,
without
bro.
further ado, before we talk about the issue, I think for the benefits of our audience, share a little bit about your journey and a bit of backstory lah about what you guys do and your life journey as well.
Right. Hi, everyone. My name is Shafiq. I am the co-founder of this little food tech startup with the brand name Nanka. We've been in the space for quite a bit since 2019. um, Practically we focus on creating plant-based food alternatives to food like meat, milk, and even animal feed and pet food. Created from single source that is actually called Jackfruit. So probably you can take the leaf from our brand name Nanka, which is inspired by the Malay name for jackfruit. And the reason we started on this, little journey back in 2019 was we see that, I mean, at least personally, I experienced this, when I can see my own daughter at that point in time, she was still probably 5 or 6 years old, chomping away on fast food, like nuggets and burgers, right? And she likes it very much up to a point that she would ask for it every time we go out of the house. Like, Papa, I want McDonald's. Papa, I want Kentucky Fried Chicken. So it come a time that I think that we need to be afforded options and choices that we can feed our kids with less than guilty options out there, that we feel okay, that we feel confident that we can actually feed our kids with. We really do understand the fact that we are living in a fast-paced world, fast-paced lifestyle. Everything must be done there and then. You want it delivered right on the spot. So convenient food is going to stay. It's already mainstream. So why not make a healthier choice out of it? And we aim to actually create this so-called range that is created from plants that we believe is a superior choice in terms of nutrition and in terms of sustainability. We are helping our fellow creatures, animals. We are helping our fellow human beings as well by creating a more healthier option as well as the environment. So the whole economic benefit to it is we can also see that you know um, just less and less we aim to create less and less people going into hospitals because of the poor choices they made in terms of the diet they put inside their body. So that's basically how we came into existence.
So what is your background
Right.
before you do Nanka? What do you do before Nanka? Huh?
I studied accountancy, right? And my co-founder also, which is also my wife, we studied accountancy, and never did we imagine that we want to be doing this, in the future. And after my degree, I worked in the pharmaceutical and medical devices industry, a short stint in wellness industry. So slowly I'm going, you know, I started with the what we call the fixer upper industry. We want to fix things by using drugs, by using devices, and I face into wellness. Wellness is more of like an active approach on taking care of your health. Then I see it now that we are in the food industry where this is where the whole thing started, right? What you put inside your body. And um, being in the pharma and wellness industry for 15 years, we see that more and more people are taking a lot more, I would say, proactive approach in taking charge of their health. It's a good sign, and more and more people are becoming more self-aware in terms of what they put inside their body, and we really think that this is a good way for us to really engage people and educate. Hey, health is something that no one should be more responsible other than yourself.
Mm, understand. I think that is why I asked about your background, and it makes sense because you learn about pharmacy, which is drugs, and also like the internet what we consume, right? And then how and then wellness. So and then the evolution it goes to FME.
Yeah,
So all that 15 years too is it makes sense, and you know what, at least you know what you're doing, because sometimes we have
right.
people that just jump into it and don't know the back or tail, so they
Yeah,
suffer a lot of problem in the knee. But I think by having that background it helps you, right, in terms of
of
doing
course,
that.
definitely, definitely.
Yeah. So I think because you're also you start to 2019, is it?
Yes, the whole
Yeah.
enterprise of this food tech startup. Yeah,
Correct. So and then 2020 we have COVID and all that, and then I think at that time we hear a lot of the term food security, right? So
yeah.
that's what I think my next question is what are your thoughts on the food security in Malaysia right now?
I'll just start with a little bit of statistics. According to the Global Food Security Index, Malaysia is actually placed at number 39 of about 165 countries that is listed, right? You can say that it's pretty good, but here comes Singapore, with that tiny little island with a lot less resources than us. They actually are ranked at number 13 in the Global Food Security Index. So you will be probably asking, why is Singapore more food secure rather than compared to Malaysia? Of course, there are a lot of criteria being taken into measurement and analyzed, but um, the whole gist of it is basically on how efficient and how well we have this so-called plan to feed the citizens of Malaysia. And basically, Singapore has that organized it pretty well as compared to Malaysia. Malaysia is nonetheless blessed with a lot of resources, right? The key word here is efficiency and diversification. For the past 30, 40, or even 50 years after independence, Malaysia has been focusing a lot on. We started with, as an agrarian society. We have a lot of agricultural resources, right? And then we moved into commodities. We moved into uh, rubber. We moved into palm oil. While that was good, in terms of supporting the economy, but I think in the wake of um, the world economy looking inward in terms of the reliability and the value chain in terms of food production and the advent of animal farming or industrial agriculture. It's becoming more and more important for us to actually look into how we can further develop our own food um, system here in Malaysia, right? So when you talk about food security in here in Malaysia, food security basically is defined as how secure our food supply is. In the case of Malaysia, gotten involved in a war, how fast we can actually get our rice delivered on our table, how fast we can get our source of protein, our source of vegetables and fruits, right, to be enjoyed in the event of Malaysia being put into an embargo, like the less luckier countries in the world by the superpowers. Probably you guys will know them. How reliable we can get our food, and how far we are from being starving, from away from the basic foods like rice, like sources of protein, um, and vegetables and fruits, the basic ones, right? So that's basically what food security is defined as. And Malaysia, in that sense, if you look at the statistics again, our import bill stands at 65 billion ringgit. 65 B billion ringgit Malaysia. That's our food import bill as of 2021. That is scary. We are blessed with a lot of natural resources, and yet we still import at that staggering amount. That begs a lot of question, right? Why are we not reliant on our own system, food systems here? We can practically plant anything. We are a tropical country. We are blessed with sunshine all year round. We are blessed with rainfall all year round. So this is something that it ponders. It brings a lot of question, and it also, you know, sorry to say, but basically our administration, the government, we should have a lot more focus into how we can devise our food systems to be more efficient, rather than looking at quick fix or a knee-jerk reaction to issues like halal issues, like food imports, like the recent dramatic increase of price of chicken. You know, the government just basically said, okay, we should bring more chickens from India, we should bring more chickens from Thailand. It's an immediate reaction, instead of, hey, let's look at the value chain, let's look at the blueprint, where we have actually done wrong. It's just like a very quick fix, getting people, getting more imports, and then suddenly building more chicken farms is like the agenda of the day. That's that's really, like a me Maggie kind of like
Yeah,
instant
yeah, yeah, yeah.
solve to what we have.
Understand, understand.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So we see that there is been a lot of effort from different quarters, NGOs, and of course from opposition parties, right? They try to create awareness and attention, draw into this food security issue. But I think it has just only starting to deserve more attention in the past year, and the COVID-19 really bring this issue into center fold. In a way, I'm grateful for that. Suddenly, we are given more attention towards this issue, but there's yet to be done. A lot more to be done. A lot more
Mm-hmm.
improvement that we can do actually in the space.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So I think it's good that I think COVID expedite, not expedite lah, but like you say, brings it to the main
It,
table.
yes.
So yeah, so like you say, we have all the resources. We have land, we have water, we have sunlight, and
Yep.
it's true. It's about efficiency and how the planning is like. It needs to have a future planning on that. So I'm glad that this is right now being discussed. But as we know, it's to bring up to the next level. There are a lot of hurdles that we have to go through. But
Sure.
aside from that, I think like what we need to talk about is meat consumption, because of course
Sure.
we can plant stuff, and then we can also like rare meats and all that. So we know in Malaysia being vegetarian is not something weird. It's like been a lot in our culture and all that. Some people do it. I think like last time it used to be about religion, right? So some people don't eat meat because of certain religion, but right now we are seeing a lot of um, the diet requirement is focusing now more on health as well. So that's why we have the rise of vegan, vegetarian,
Yeah,
flexitarian, and those kind of thing.
yeah.
So, but today I want to ask is about the meat consumption. Why should we reduce meat consumption?
Okay. Like you mentioned, Haris. Sorry about the sound. Okay. Because we have been, if you look at the dietary pattern of humans since the Industrial Revolution, back in the we say 1940s, right? Um, we looked at meat consumption as a sign of luxury, right? It was even if you look at our parents' lifestyle back in the day, uh, pre and post independence. I remember my mother telling me that eating chicken is only afforded during Hari Raya, during festive season, right? So she will probably eat chicken like maybe 2 times in a year, right? It's not because it's probably it's because it's expensive, and probably also it's because not many suppliers was actually available at that point in time. And uh, if you look at the so-called evolution of diet from that time until now, it's cheap, fast. I mean, food is just available all day round, 24 hours, right? There's this fast food outlets that operates 24 hours. Wherever that we feel like it, we are able to just, grab our keys and grab out and grab something to eat, which of course, also contributes to obesity, which is another topic for another day. So meat consumption is a very, I would say, heavy topic in the sense that it has a lot of touch points. It by itself, animal farming or livestock production, it is one of the biggest contributor to its greenhouse gas. Greenhouse gas, as you know, is the one that is contributing to the world global warming, right? It basically melts the ice caps over in the south and northern pole, right? And um, because of that, it basically contributes, like, largely to the climate change that we're experiencing right now. And if you also look at the industrial practices, that is actually inhumane, in according to the basically some findings by the NGOs and animal welfare organizations. While that happens a lot outside of our country, beloved country, but and also that, people are coming up with more humane or friendlier treatment of animals, that still doesn't really change the fact that we are still, getting our proteins from meat. So um, and even actually, if you look at the human dietary needs, we don't really need basically a lot of protein that comes from animal sources, right? There's been numerous studies, scientific studies being done to really actually say that we could actually be done with meat consumption. And if I can share some statistics from Cancer Research UK, the number one causing cancer causing factor is actually processed meats, like burgers, like hot dogs, sausages. And the second probable cause of cancer is actually red meat. And this is actually, you know um, is undeniable. it, Nobody can actually refute these facts. So there you have it. You would have it from animal, from the human health point of view. You can see it from the animal welfare point of view. You can also look at it from an environmental point of view, on why we actually really need to reduce meat consumption. It's just, it just goes again our logical and rational why we should actually increase meat consumption.
Mm, yeah. So it's quite a controversial thing, especially if we say that abolish meat, right? That one, a lot of people will like about it lah. But then
Right.
that's why we say reduce, because like we are not imposing for people to stop eating
Right.
meat, but we
Yeah.
are what we want is moving towards less reliance on that as well. So I think that
Exactly.
is what my next question would be like, how does your business or what you're doing right now solve this kind of issue, because we need substitute, eh? Because the topic is meat
Sure.
substitute, like you say
Sure.
burger, hot dogs and all that. So how are you guys doing this?
Okay. So when we first started, getting into this industry, we know we're gonna get into like, there is this the traditional issues of relying on meats and the old school understanding of vegan and vegetarian. While we are like, again, it could be very very sensitive. So many people have so many different thoughts and opinions on this issue, but our main goal, our main attempt here, coming up with solutions to basically invite people to at least think that, you don't have to rely on animal source protein to get your protein. There is just a lot more other sources of protein that comes from plants. Basically, they're just as good, if not superior, to animal protein. So, while we are not really promoting the vegan and vegetarian lifestyle, and again, like I said, it is somewhat sensitive because even the vegan and vegetarians themselves have basically some views on the lifestyle, and they have even also different categories, that consumes this, consume that. Some of them doesn't consume garlic and onion. So there's a lot of basically categories there. But here we're trying to promote, first of all, um, reduce the reliance on meat by making available, equally or not, if not superior, source of protein. While we say that, we are creating a meat substitute out of jackfruit. Jackfruit itself is not a source of protein. What we do here basically is creating a base using jackfruit that are able to be blended with any source of protein that comes from basically, plants like mushroom. Mushroom is what we have created in our product range. We have actually tried it with peas. We have actually tried it with um, legumes, lentils. We have tried it even with insect protein, right? And our formulation here basically are able to be very flexible and be able to blend with any source of protein, right? So, um, in any case, even if you really, really, really can't do away with your red meat intake or white meat intake, you still want to have it, please reduce it. And even you can actually still blend it with our proprietary blend of jackfruit and get that so-called, fix, protein fix, that at least, now I can actually get you to reduce from 100 grams of chicken. Then you can now even just take 30 grams of chicken and still be okay with your diet, right?
Mm.
So that's the whole point of our existence. We try to reduce meat consumption as much as possible and make protein consumption from plants as affordable, as convenient as possible.
Mm-hmm. So the term is what for that, flexitarian.
Yeah, flexitarian. I think the term flexitarian came about about 10 to 15 years ago. I think most of us are actually flexitarian. We still have that, need to eat animal source of protein, but we do realize the fact that it does not If we over-consume it, it can affect our health. We do recognize the fact that plants and fruits give us a lot of nutrition, right? In terms of fiber, in terms of vitamins, and all that. So naturally, we are flexitarians. So now I'm trying to, you know, get people to think, really consciously and aware, self-aware that we need to be flexitarians at best. And if you can actually upgrade yourself to become vegan and vegetarian, why not?
I think it's more of giving them options as well,
Sure.
because right
Yeah.
now I think what we are seeing, like certain plant-based brands that have been popping up as well all over the world, and it's nice to have to see that we have one here and doing well. So, but at the same time, I also want to know what are your challenges, because it's relatively new, right? I mean, like
Sure.
not new, but in a way, new approach to it, lah. So, what are your business challenge?
Right. When we again, this the whole trend started when, we when we first started, the whole trend did not really become mainstream yet. It's just, about hearsay that, or what we see or what we hear on online, what's happening over in other countries, especially in developed countries. So we see there is a lot of opportunities. Of course, Malaysia is being a late adopter, Malaysia being a trend follower. We never really set the trend. We just, follow trend, and we are really bad at it. We would probably follow the trend when people are just, started a whole new trend altogether. So um, when we here in Malaysia particularly, of course, the Malays basically makes up about majority of the citizenship, right? And Malays being Malays, we are bound by the culture of the Islamic culture, and eating meats have been a centerfold in religion practices as ourselves, right? And again, recognizing the Indian and Chinese culture, like being vegan and vegetarian, is not a strange thing to them. And where now we say there is a Malay vegan or Malay vegetarian, well, we will still, draw some attention or some, eyebrows, but it has become more and more normal these days compared to, when we first started like 3 to 4 years back. So getting people to understand, becoming vegan and vegetarian in the Malay culture has been somewhat challenging in the past 3 to 4 years. And it, Malay Muslims being the majority of Malaysians somewhat creates that economic challenge, creating, people to adopt this and consume our products. So we rely on a lot of the traditional vegan and vegetarian segment. Typically, 70% of our customers back in the day comes from the Indian and the Chinese culture, right? And while I really appreciate from their support, that, we are still able to basically stand until today. Um, but recognizing that, we put in a lot of educational approach in our, sales and marketing. We try to engage a lot of people to talk about plant-based lifestyle, at least here in Malaysia. Recognizing that, we even, take a conscious approach on basically bringing our products outside of Malaysia. So we have been quite successful in bringing our products into Singapore, into Japan, and now we are in talks into partnerships with some Korean counterparts. So basically, because of the movement have been really mainstream outside of Malaysia, so we rely on that connection and relationship with our Japanese or Singaporean distributors that supports our basically operations up to this day. So we still have faith in the Malaysian scene. Even though I was not really counting on that to be mainstream anytime soon, right here in Malaysia, but latest development like the Veg Fest, I think this deserves some mention. Veg Fest was actually done by Veg Hub, an app, that creates a community of consumers and vendors that produces plant-based foods. It was actually done by, in Paradigm Mall last weekend, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And to our amazement, to our utter shock, we actually ran out of stocks by the second day, even taking from
Nice,
our
nice,
factory,
nice.
right? So I was like, hey, what's happening here? What's happening here? I'm trying to understand. I thought there's not many people are into this lifestyle here in Malaysia, right? I'm pretty sure combined by aggressive and smart marketing by Veg Hub, or even probably the vegan and vegetarians are now scramming through, how can we get further supply or choices options of plant-based foods here in Malaysia, or coupled with the whole lot of vendors or startups and companies now producing a lot more options of plant-based foods. I think with all the combination of these factors coming into play, and you put it like in a central location such as Paradigm Mall, and we heard that around Paradigm Mall there were like traffic jams, people started to uh, crowd that area. So I think that somewhat renewed our confidence and faith in the Malaysian vegan or vegetarian scene. I
Mm,
think they deserve a little bit more attention, rather than personally or strategically for our company. We've been really focused on getting the exports done. So I think we need to look at how we want to reach out to a lot more people here in Malaysia, our customers, build a more stronger community,
mm.
and even for our basically to create more awareness. I think we should be able to reach out to the younger generation, like the kids, the school kids in the primary school, in the secondary school. I think we should really have more touch points among this education community. So
Understand,
yeah,
understand. Yeah, yeah. So I think like there's a lot of things that need to be done in that space. So let's have our finger
definitely.
crossed that we have more support there as well. So
Yeah.
I think my last question would be more of the future. So the future of the meat substitute industry, or what are the trends that you're seeing, and as well as how are you guys gonna grow as well? What are you guys right now? You guys do what? Yani is burgers, right?
We actually, basically the product range that we create, we try to replace meat as much as possible. I mean, that we
Mm.
are trying to create something that whatever that you can do with meat, our products can do with it as well.
Yeah,
If
so
you want
that's
to,
why like if you see what would be the future of that and what you guys
sure,
are looking forward into.
sure. So, as I mentioned earlier, we are a food tech startup that focuses not just in terms of meat substitute. We're looking at milk substitute as well. We're looking at animal feed substitute or pet food substitute, right? And it all comes from a single source, jackfruit. So we see there is a lot of opportunities that we can actually create from that one single, sustainable fruit. Um, so we are looking at developing, in terms of the meat substitute, we are looking at more and more iterations of formulation that uses a locally sourced protein. So we want to work together with companies or food corporates, that you can actually create a lot more other options using jackfruit as a base with other kinds of proteins. So, for instance, if you want to go into China, where they are blessed with soy, right? Some soy is basically something that they are able to obtain and plant cheaply. So we are able to actually work together with vendors or soy planters in China, and create a better version of meat substitute using soy and jackfruit. So in an instance where we are able to, go and collaborate with um, food companies or planters of wheat in Australia, we are able to actually create a meat substitute that is made from wheat and jackfruit in Australia. And in the case of the US, where pea are widely available, we can actually create, again, meat substitute from wheat and, sorry, pea and jackfruit. So we focus on that circular economy agenda where we do not want to, like, okay, this is our product, take it or leave it. It's not going to be like that. I mean, in a sense, we shouldn't put something, shove something uh, down people's throat like that. We should be able to empower them. We should be able to be very flexible enough, and support the so-called the global, or what we call local economy, right? And that is basically the strength of our formulation, the strength of our product. As a company, we also, like I mentioned, we are looking at other sources of plant-based foods, like meat and animal feed. We want to try to get people to not really look at animal as source of protein anymore. I think in the industry, generally, we see that there will be a lot of, I would say, consolidation, a lot of acquisition. Bigger companies would probably gobble up smaller companies. Um, Maybe I would be gobbled up. Maybe I would do the gobbling up. We never know. Right? We see a lot more friends, and so I wouldn't call it competitors, because we are a community. A lot more people coming into the space, creating a lot more, fun iterations of meat substitute. And I really hope that this will be mainstream. It will be, in fact, commoditized, like rice, like cassava, like corn, like, whatever the global food crops is available right now, right? So this is something that I think would be the end goal, creating something that is a no-brainer. People could just like switch into becoming vegan and vegetarian, just like that, and not having uh, challenges to find those options out in the market. So yeah,
Awesome, awesome, awesome. What a good way to end the show. So, guys, yeah, so we are at the end of the show. If you like this episode, please share it. To continue learning, subscribe to our YouTube page, The Green Factor. For content and update, follow me on LinkedIn, Instagram, and TikTok. Thank you, Shafiq, for your time.
no worries,
If
bro.
you guys want to connect with them, you can look up in Facebook, Nanka Official, also on LinkedIn with Shafiq. You just search
Yeah,
Syafik Jaafar.
just add
So,
me up.
and
Yeah,
yeah, and thank you guys as well for tuning in. See you next week. And as always, have a green week ahead. Bye bye, guys.
right.